Hello there. Thank you for joining us. This is Elevator's Artebella on the radio, and I'm Keith Waits. The show is produced by Louisville Visual Art, and Louisville Visual Art, one of our key programs, OPen Studio, formerly Weekend, now just OPen Studio Louisville, is starting, and it'll start this Saturday. And so today we're talking to artists who will be participating, and I've got two people here who share space together. Fagiola, who is a multimedia artist, and Andrew Marsh, a sculptor, and I'm going to have them talk a little bit more specifically about their work. Thank you guys for joining me this morning.
Hey, thanks, Keith. I appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
Of course, I'm lying because it's actually not morning when we're recording this, but it'll be morning when people hear it. So, let's start. Farrell, let's start with you. Talk about your work. What should people expect to encounter if they choose to visit you guys on one of these Saturdays?
Yeah, so I am a multimedia artist, like you said, and I'm working primarily in sculpture, drawing, installation, video, performance, a whole bunch of things. And my work mostly deals with power and desire in the body. And I'm usually working with industrial materials and processes such as cast iron and steel and rubbers. And my work usually has an erotic, fetishistic bent to it. So when you come to the studio, this is primarily a sculpture studio. Most of the things we make here are objects, and it's a metal shop. So you can expect to see a lot of that, a lot of works in progress, as well as some finished pieces for sale.
Okay, cool. Andrew, describe what you got going on.
Right on. Most of my work is welded steel and cast iron, but I also am a chainsaw sculptor, and not like bears and eagles and stuff, but most of my work deals with sort of cataclysmic body change, chronic pain, inflammation, that kind of stuff, and how material can sort of serve to express that. So I do a lot of abstract sculpture, and then a lot of my work is kind of based on trophies.
Interesting. So there's those descriptions, there's obviously some very personal sort of things going on, and maybe even alternative. It's easy to bring that word up looking at Andrew's haircut, but you know, you guys are definitely, I want to say, it doesn't sound like you're really sort of doing mainstream work. Is that fair to say?
I mean, I guess so. Yeah. You know, if you, I'm not really sure how you would just define mainstream work. I mean, we're both working out of personal experience and using our art as a way to express that and then reach other people. So in that way, it's, you know, hopefully it would be mainstream. That I think the point of all arts, you know, that we try and communicate somehow through objects. And so in that way, our dialogue is, you know, personal and pointed, but also very much like any other work of art, I would say.
Well, I find this, the longer I do this, and I've been doing it for like 6 years now, you know, every time I choose a word to describe something, I feel like it's inadequate. And when I say mainstream, you know, it's kind of like, well, you know, today's avant-garde is tomorrow's mainstream. You know, so those are fluid sort of categories or definitions all the time, and maybe that just betrays that I'm older than you guys. So, but do you guys work? Do you each have your own work, or is there a lot of collaboration?
Both. Yeah, we each have our own individual practices, and we also collaborate on some pieces, some large-scale sculptures, as well as iron performances at our studio.
We'll talk a little bit about the iron performances. Because you guys do some performance art, which to a lot of people that immediately conjures up maybe some sort of cliched images of things from the 60s. Talk about the performance art aspect, and we'll just talk about that for a minute, about what that means.
Sure. So one of the processes that we use is a foundry process, which is melting iron in this case, and then pouring it into molds. And that's part of our sculpture production. One of the tools in our bag. And so we also use that very spectacular, very fiery process to create objects, but in a way that's very unsafe and different than what kind of an industrial standard would be for an acceptable practice. I use wood as a mold material. So when 3,000 degree iron hits that wood, they hate each other. And so you get these explosions and a lot of fire and some really dynamic and unusual looking castings, which is kind of my way of using performance to cast my own found objects, which is where my sculptures, many of them, start. As far as its place and a reaction to the performance that rose, performance traditions that rose out of the 60s, this is very much a kind of a Fluxus idea of using a work process, or Robert Morris would be another great example of this, using a work process and as way to express content. In this case, for me, it's really about inflammation and kind of chronic pain, things I've dealt with for most of my life now, and a way to express that and make it visual so that people can see what that looks like and maybe, you know, give voice to their own kind of experience.
Well, there's where my advanced stage comes in handy, because I understand exactly what you're talking about now with chronic pain and inflammation and things like that. This thumb right here is giving me all sorts of problems that I think is the beginning of arthritis. But those are common experiences. A lot of people experience those things. Inflammation is incredibly common because it's really an aspect or a symptom of a lot of different kinds of things. But you talk about this not being safe. So how dangerous is it for you guys doing it? Have you hurt yourself?
It's incredibly dangerous. Yeah. But we've developed our practice around it. So our safety gear, the way that we protect our environment and our tools, everything is built to withstand this kind of work. And in fact, our studio, which we hope people will come out and see, this was the old foundry that was at the Henry Vogt Machine Company at 1000 West Ormsby. And the foundry closed in the 70s, but the building is still here, and it is purpose built for pouring metal and melting metal. And so it's kind of like the perfect place for us to be, you know, because we can make our kind of mess without setting the neighborhood on fire, which is really important.
That's right. I haven't heard about any fires over there lately. So what about people coming to see? You talked, and you don't know exactly when, but you've talked about maybe having one Saturday where you really kind of go for it on this performance. What kind of safety is there for the audience? How do you deal with that?
Oh, we'll provide that, and we've got barriers to keep people back, and a safe operating kind of viewing place and all of that. So for those coming out, you know, we'll have it public ready. Mm-hmm.
So, and also I think just, you know, one of the things that we try to give some attention to when people are coming in is like, you know, what's the access like and everything. And a lot of people I think have some sense of what they're going to when they go to an artist studio. But I'm hazarding a guess. I haven't been to your place, but that people are going to think that maybe they're in the wrong place because they're approaching a large building that looks very industrial. And is that just looking behind you, because you're in your space now, that doesn't look like an art studio space. This looks like a big factory.
It is.
It is. And it is a little bit difficult to find, but we have signage up to help point you in the right direction. But yeah, you know, so you're going to be driving through this industrial park with a lot of semi-abandoned old industrial buildings. So you may kind of get that feeling that you're in the wrong place, but it's really sort of a hidden gem, I think, once you find it. It's a pretty cool place. So
yeah, we'll have Building 15 Studios signs all the way from the gate back to where the entrance to the shop is. And so it should be really easy to find.
Well, I just think it's important to do that because, I mean, I've gotten lost looking for some studios, even with GPS. So, but again, I think a lot of times people imagine some sort of cottage house in the back of a property kind of thing. And it's like, no, you're going to go. And I think, to me, it's like, well, this to me, I shouldn't be like trying to like endorse one artist over the other, but this automatically shoots you to the top of my list, right? It's like,
Cool.
this sounds like a space that's not going to be like many others that people have the opportunity to visit.
Yeah, I mean, it is epic, and it really is a relic of a disappearing era of manufacturing in Louisville. And
Mhm.
so for us to be in here doing this kind of work is something that we both get a lot of pride from, of continuing to keep that heritage for Louisville alive. And even in the midst of kind of industrial decay, which you'll see a lot of that too. I mean, this campus was really developed at the early part of the 20th century and operated up through early 21st century. So, I mean, it's really, it's a reflection of a very real past that Louisville was built on. And so if maybe you're not into our work, that's okay, but come out and check out this campus, because this is a rare opportunity to get a glimpse of what made Louisville.
How long have you guys been there using that space?
We've been here for 4 years.
Okay. But this is your first open studio experience.
It is. It really has taken us this long to kind of establish our own sort of system for this space, and with work and different things, different commissions that we've had, it just hasn't lined up.
Mhm.
So this year it worked out great, and so we're really excited to be part of it finally, and we feel like we have the studio in maybe the best condition that we've ever had it, and a really cool spot for people to come see some, you know, some pretty far out work, and just a neat relic of a building.
Right. Well, you know, people who've done it several times and then they take a year off and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. But I think that one of the beauties of Open Studio is that it's a fluid list, and that new people come and some people take time off, and, you know, because they travel or whatever, they have, you know, there's different reasons. And I think that's what keeps people interested, is that every year there's a new sort of listing of people and artists they're not familiar with. As soon as you think you know everybody, you know, in town, then you're wrong. Well, so listen. Oh,
Mhm.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, right on, man. We're just really happy to be part of it. We're looking forward to meeting a lot of new people, and it's great for us too. So thanks for including us.
Well, and so that's Fagiola and Andrew Marsh down on Ormsby in Old Louisville, West Ormsby, all 4 Saturdays in the Open Studio Louisville. All in. I love it. All in, you know. So I'm glad to have you guys. So definitely put that on your schedule somewhere. And when we know a date, maybe that you're gonna do something special, we'll come up here and shout it out on the radio, and we'll have it on our social media. We'll help get the word out when you're gonna do that special thing. So
Thank you.
all right. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.